I have, hi guys, anybody watching on the replay? We are, no SIM card installed. Start live.
Hi.
Hi, you guys get the behind the scenes as we set up for Instagram.
I think
yes.
it's good.
Okay.
As long as we don't move around.
Just touch this really lightly. Yes, okay. Hi, Mandy. All right. Hi guys, when you guys are jumping on, please give us a WhatsApp, let us know where you're
on my Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah, let's get on your Wi-Fi.
I think yeah.
Let's get on your Wi-Fi.
Okay, cool. We need to get on Wi-Fi.
Hi guys, so when you guys are here, please shoot us through a message and let us know where you're calling from. This is the behind the scenes of multiple screening live streams and sweaty New York City because it is so hot right now. Thanks for those of you jumping on. Hey Libby. So Libby actually is a sober coach. She is supporting people to step into sober lifestyle.
Yes.
So this is one of the queens of sober living right here. So I'm super excited to have you guys on here and for me to introduce you to this glorious goddess. Where are you guys? What's that? Yeah, let's hit that puppy. Filter free, but that's okay. We can work with that. So hi guys. Hi. Oh, we get to get a filter. This is not the office rodeo.
I didn't do that.
Did you not? Okay.
Let's do it again.
All right, we got free filter over here. So that's awesome.
My teeth are ridiculous.
So we are live on Instagram and live on Facebook. So when you guys are on, please give us a hello. Hey Grace. So I am here in sweaty Brooklyn with my beautiful soul sister Ruby. It's so awesome to be here. I literally was like, I'm going to intro you guys to Ruby in a little bit, but I turned up early, and I actually really don't like early people because like when you have events and stuff and people turn up early, it's always actually a little bit annoying. And I was like, I'm here early, but can I come up? And then she was like, no, I'm busy, which I totally respect. And then I turned up late because I like got stuck in a Brooklyn vintage store.
Yeah.
So we haven't really had a chance to catch up. So we're kind of catching up. Oh, you're in Queens. What up, Sam? Hey, Caroline.
Sam. It's so hot. It's like 90 something today.
It is steam city over here. So Ruby and I are going to have a really awesome jam session today about a bunch of things, a few of which I've put in the comments. So Ruby and I actually met in April this year. We were both at Gail Larson's real speaking, transformational speaking event in Santa Fe, which was super transformational, juicy, and really stripped back the layers and got to know each other quite well because it was very intimate. And we're going to talk a little bit about speaking here, but she's just like one of those women that you really just click with straight away, or we clicked with really straight away, and she's just up to so much amazing work in the world. She is the founder of the Numinous, which is an amazing website online, which really supports people in tapping into, like, she's so hilarious. Every time we have a conversation, like just arriving here, I said something about sending something to my list, and she was like, Mercury in retrograde, and she'll tell you exactly when the moons are rising and what your stars are and the numerology of everything, and I absolutely love it. So she's super tapped in with all of that and really helping women and men just connect. I mean, this is my interpretation. Just connect to themselves in a deeper way, connect to life in a deeper way, tap into, seer of mystical realities, tapping in, of course, really allowing us to tune into the greater sphere that we're all a part of. She's also the founder of Club Soda NYC. Club Soda NYC, which is something that I really stand behind as well, which is like a sober community, sober curious. And we're going to tap into a little bit of that. She's an author. She's an all-around glorious, glorious human, and I'm just really excited to share you with my tribe and to be here and connect with you again.
You're so sweet. Thanks for having me. That was a lovely intro.
Is there anything that I've missed out about you, what you're up to, that you want to share with our awesome community?
You did pretty good.
Okay, cool. I love a good intro.
This was my first book.
Oh, yes.
Material Girl, Mystical World, The Now Age Guide to a High Vibe Life. And this is basically my journey from my old career, my old life as a fashion editor in London, through founding the Numinous. Like Emily said, it's a platform that covers all things mystical, but kind of made relevant for our modern real life now.
Yes.
And so it kind of maps my transformation really from bringing all of these tools from astrology through tarot, shamanism, different healing practices into my life. and the incredible experiences and transformation that I had as a result of embracing my mystical side. Well, not embracing it, I always embraced it, but shamelessly beginning to really give as much importance to that mystical kind of like numinous part of myself as we do to the kind of productive, doing, boss girl side that we're so encouraged to be in, right?
Oh my gosh.
Like, what about the mystical feeling, kind of confused, dreamy, transcendent part of me that's like equally part of me, you know? And for me, balancing those two parts, which are kind of the yin and the yang. We hear about yin and yang, but really what it means to balance those two parts is to balance the kind of the doing, creative, productive with the mystical, feeling, intuitive side. So the book's really all about that. And I also, so my other project is called Moon Club.
Yes.
And it's our online kind of group spiritual coaching program, which is to help people who are looking to find that balance for themselves. So yeah, other than that, you covered everything. My Sober Curious event series, my Numinosity, my Brooklyn
life. Oh my gosh, she has the best apartment here in Brooklyn. Like, it is just the dreamiest, like, New York City apartment. So can you guys just let us know, can you hear us all good? Just want to make sure if you guys are there, can you just give us a comment and let us know if you guys can hear this all good? And also when you guys are out there, if you guys can share this with anyone, share it with your tribe, let us know. This is going to be a super juicy conversation. And I want to kind of dive right in on what you just said there, because something that I find really important and relevant right now is, one thing is making this new age stuff mainstream, because I think that, like, really making it sexy and achievable and relatable to the mainstream is something really powerful. And then also the, like you just kind of said, the confused, the days, the kind of wandering like side of us, which I think in this world doesn't get acknowledged, or it doesn't get integrated in like actually how we can almost like own that in a way. Like I think that's something important, because I know for me, like, I feel validated. I think I've always grown up being validated by hard work. Yeah. And that side isn't something that as a society we really deem important. Exactly. So a lot of people disown it and then end up unhappy, drinking, escaping, working hard at the job. Yeah. So I'd love for you to dive into that a little bit, because I think that's really interesting.
Well, the two things are actually connected, I think. Making all of the mystical or the new age practices that connect us to that part of ourselves mainstream is very difficult, because it's labeled woo-woo, flaky, out there, weird, right?
Give us a yes if you guys resonate with that. Give us a yes.
And I think the reason it's labeled all of those things is because we're taught to suppress it, because the society that we live in doesn't put any value on our feeling, emotional, intuitive, sensitive. Some would say feminine, although when I speak of masculine and feminine, I'm not speaking of gender specifically, more like how these attributes are labeled sometimes. And so, bringing it into the mainstream for me, like I said, is about saying, hey, this part of us is equally valid as the doing, productive, like achieving part of ourselves that we've been taught, like you said. Many of us have been taught that that part of ourselves is where we find value in the world, whether it's through career achievement, whether it's through financial rewards, whether it's through how we're perceived by other people, whether it's through, what our contribution to society. It's a lot of the time judged and based on like how productive, how active, how confident, how together we are. Whereas, like, realistically, well, I'm probably that person 50% of the time. You know? And so the other 50% of the time, if I'm not also allowing my sensitive, confused, emotional, dreamy self to equally be expressed, what happens when I suppress that? It comes out in my addictions. One of the reasons I drank was to allow myself to just be a mess, was to allow myself to take my foot off the bloody gas sometimes and just kind of like surrender, because my body needed to do that. My psyche needed to do that as well. So it comes out in addictions. I really truly believe that many of our gut issues are linked to that as well. I believe that our emotions are processed in our gut. There's a lot of even scientific research now that we have a second brain in our gut. It's our emotional brain. It's our emotional center. I think one of the reasons that so many people, women in particular, have gut issues, and we blame it on the gluten, we blame it on the dairy, all these things. If you're anything out there,
out there,
you will have tried cutting out all of those things and still experience the gut issues. And it's like, what is it then? Well, how about if it's the fact we're not really feeling and therefore processing and integrating all of the different emotions that we're feeling? Because we're taught that to do so makes us weak, or it's going to hold us back, or it's going to slow us down. Well, you know what? Yeah, it will slow us down. But we're all rushing so fast through life. Oh my gosh. Like, this is why there's so much burnout as well. And again, we become addicted to so many stimulants that mean we can like try and fake being able to like keep up and stay on top of things. So the things are intimately connected. Trying to come out of the spiritual closet as a kind of like openly woo-woo person has not been easy. Like, part of my mission with the Numinous was to kind of package these things in a way that made them more kind of approachable, accessible, aspirational, I suppose, cooler, right? But still, the pushback I get from anyone who's kind of outside my Numinous circles is still like this kind of eye-rolling, oh, right, yeah, whatever, believe what you want to believe, none of it really matters kind of thing. And I'm like, well, I'm living proof. My lived experience lets me know that this does matter, that this is real. And so it was Gail who told us, right? They can argue with your facts, but they can never argue with your truth. And I love that quote so much. I'm like, I don't have any facts to tell you why when Mercury's in retrograde, I feel a certain way, or like why when the moon's in a certain place in the sky, I feel a certain way. But I know through my lived experience that there are deep truths there. So that's kind of my mission, is to bring that emotional feeling side into wholeness, really. Like, so, you know, when people talk about wholeness as well, it's about integrating both of all of these different parts of ourselves. So that's what this work is all about.
There's so much there that I want to dive into. Hey, Richie. So Richie's actually a good friend of mine in New Zealand who is a huge advocate for mental health, sobriety.
Amazing.
He's amazing. That's just such awesome work. And if any of you guys out there, Libby, thank you for tagging the people in. Feel free to share this live stream as well. We'd love to get this message out, because this, you know, and I said to Rue before, I was like, these are some of the things that I think we could talk about, but we'll also, I'm sure, lots of things will come out that, like, you know, just like that. I think that, you know, and I myself, it was so funny when I was just telling Ruby about, I just was in Connecticut, which I did this race called Hell on the Hill, which is 100 times up and down this hill. And like, I'm walking around New York, I can barely bend my legs. We're sitting on this little cushion. I'm going down, you know, friggin' tubes, and like I can't walk properly, and I'm almost like, you know, when you can't bend your legs, you kind of have to strut almost, because you just can't walk. And I was like, I just said to Ruben, she was like, that is such a Capricorn thing to do. And I was like, she's like, it's like a goat because you're running up and down this hill, but it's like such a classic Ruby response, like relating it to the star sign.
I just can't help it.
It's so good. It's so good. You know, people just totally are what they are about. But I would relate, especially like as a Capricorn, it's such a get it done, responsibility, structure, work. Hey, Ella, my love. And so it is, I totally relate to that, as opposed to, so like a lot more in my masculine in that regard than I am in the comfortable and the feminine, in terms of the traits of like feeling, softness, play. And when you were saying that before around, you know, getting drunk or having drinks, to just be in that softness, surrender, play experience, I can actually relate to that. I've never really thought about that before. So I'm interested in how, you know, because it's one thing to know that, right? Like, I know that, okay, you know, I'm not so good at the feeling stuff. And yes, I turn to alcohol, or I turn to whatever to experience that. How do we bridge that gap between sort of that to then being able to step into that stuff more naturally and more playfully from a place of sobriety, or from a place of truly like feeling and connecting to ourselves?
Well, it's a practice. It's like literally unlearning a lifetime's, potentially multiple lifetimes, certainly generations worth of conditioning around suppressing that. So if it doesn't come naturally at first, the number one thing is like, don't think, I just can't do it. I just don't know how. Like, none of us have really been taught to do it. Or none of us have really been taught to even believe that we can access those states without some kind of assistance from substances, or from, you know, even from like relationships, or like other people, or these kind of like So yeah, it's really, really a practice. And it's just a question of trying it out.
Yeah.
Like for me, in terms of like, well, I guess so one of the reasons I got sober curious, and to tell you guys what that
let's talk a little bit about that. I think it's important.
So sober curious really means the answer to that, what does it mean, is kind of in the title, right?
Yeah.
To be curious means to question.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about what it means to live a sober life. I'm not sober, meaning I'm not in recovery, I'm not working the 12 steps.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% abstinent from alcohol or other substances. But what I am is always curious. And anytime I have any urge, impulse, invitation, whatever, to take a drink or to have any other drugs or whatever, I will stop and question. Why am I thinking about this? What do I think is going to do for me? What, how's it going to feel when I do this? How do I think it's going to feel? How is it really going to feel? How is it going to feel in an hour's time? How is it going to feel tomorrow? How am I going to feel about it in a week's time? I'm like really being very, very honest and answering those questions with as much integrity as I can muster. When I answer those questions really honestly, like 9.5 or 9.9 times out of 10, the answer is like, no, I don't want to have that, or I don't need that. You know? So it's a question of just like having that moment of pause to be like, okay, I'm going to really question why I'm doing this, and then make an informed decision on it. So I got sober curious when I moved to New York in 2012, and I began working on the Numinous, and I started going to all of these moon circles, and started going to all of these different workshops and having all these healing experiences with hypnotherapists and shamans, and having all these amazing like breathwork sessions, amazing, transcendent, blissful, hilarious, exciting, connective experiences without needing any kind of substance, and feeling myself just get kind of like, happier is a really simplistic way to put it, but just more and more connected, a feeling of being more and more connected to myself, to my life, to my truth, I suppose. And so, you know, I often say that often when people go to AA because they've identified that they have a problem with alcohol, they are asked actually in the program to, you know, surrender to a higher power, or to accept the assistance of a higher power. For me, it was like finding the idea of connecting to a higher power through all these spiritual practices that then led to me questioning, well, why am I using alcohol to achieve or try and achieve all of these things, connection, joy, transcendence, bliss, when I know that it makes me feel like crap the next day? Like I know that's the outcome. So why do I feel like I need to have this substance when I'm experiencing all these other ways of having it? So I mean, how to find it in your life? Like, go to a moon circle, go to a concert. Like, go, if you love music and you always drink when you go to a concert, go to a concert and just don't drink. And really go with the intention of, I'm going to feel this music fully in my body. And it's like amazing difference. You can really get high just on music. If it's music that you love, that gives you goosebumps. Like if you can really feel that in your body, it's such a better experience. But if you're so used to drinking, because you've been doing that since you started going to concerts when you were 15 or whatever, like me, then you're just going to do it by default, because that's what you do. So it's about, just always asking those questions.
Yeah, and I think something that, you know, it's something I'm such a huge proponent of is like your community and your environment. And also if you guys have any questions or anything when we're sharing this, please feel free to shoot them through, ask us. Libby has said it's not your substance, it's the issue on our relationship with it, which is totally true. In life, it's like it's never the thing in life, it's our experience of it, it's the meaning we give it, etc. Hey Amy, hey Tracy. And something that I think is huge, huge, huge for anybody that's thinking, and you know, we're not going to spend this whole live stream talking about sober curiosity, but I think it's really a powerful conversation because so many of us are using vices of some sort in our life to experience something that we ultimately can get and experience without it. And your community and your environment is such a big thing. And I want to kind of maybe segue into this as well in terms of starting a movement and starting to create something. Because a lot of my tribe and community is, you know, entrepreneurs, people looking to build community, people looking to make a difference through their work. And like, you know, anyone out there who is experiencing, you know, wanting to you know, feeling like everyone you're around is smoking, drinking, taking drugs, doing whatever it is, you know, that is going to be your experience, because like that is, so I think it is really important when you're trying to kind of create a new reality or create a new habit, is to uplift your environment, which is what you did, like the healings, the shamans, and actually realizing, oh my gosh, I'm experiencing all the stuff I was trying to get to through this other vehicle, and shifting that community. And then now what you've done is actually like curate and create an amazing experience through, you know, Club Soda, and bringing people together in a way that is reminding them, oh, we can connect and be in high vibe and really be juicy together without having to drink. But that wasn't necessarily there before you created that too, right? And I think that's important.
And it wasn't, interestingly, I wasn't like, when I started the Numinous, I wasn't looking for a new community. I didn't think that was something I needed in my life. But through following my natural curiosity, and just
following the natural curiosity.
Anybody
out there wondering how to start their business?
Following my natural curiosity, like really trusting, or just listening and giving myself this time and the space to really listen to what would be exciting to do today. And also, and I will say, you know, having the opportunity to move to New York and being in a completely different city where I didn't necessarily have the same old things to kind of like go back to, helped push me into that. But I believe you can do this anywhere.
Of course.
Even if it's in your old, you know, your town that you grew up in, you can just start looking for alternative experiences.
Start where you're at.
Try. Through following my curiosity, I naturally was led to this whole other community that reflected very different me back at me. You know, I was cocktail girl in London, in the London kind of like media scene. I was cocktail girl. It's just kind of like what we did. And in fact, my next book is called Sober Curious, and it's dedicated to Cocktail Girl.
Oh, yes.
Bless her soul, you know.
And it comes out when?
January 1st.
January 1st. So everyone on that hangover can be reading that Sober Curiosity book, and that's so amazing. And like, and I'm sure that you know, from following the curiosity, because these are two big things, guys. Following the curiosity, for anybody who is out there wondering, like, how do I start creating my community? How do I start how do I start a movement? How do I create a business? How do I find my tribe? Any of those questions, like following that curiosity, follow that excitement, give yourself the time, the space. And like, there's no way that you could have known, I'm sure, when you started thinking about going Sober Curious, that you would then have a really successful event, you know, in New York, that you would have 2 books, like with the Numinous and with, so, and it's like, you can't know that from the get-go, but just following that each day.
Even if it feels like the weirdest thing, like for me 7 years ago, when I was like, what am I really curious about? So I'm so bored in my job, even though it's like my dream job as an editor at the Sunday Times in the UK.
And I just want to touch on that again, because again, so many segues, but like, the thing that's your dream now, like, you can get there and you will still have, like, it will shift and change and grow. I think, you know, it's like knowing that that's always an evolving process, I think is something quite freeing, because people who, like, if you think that where you are is where you're going to be forever, like, it's not. So you get to be free to, like, play and explore different things, knowing that it gets to shift.
Exactly.
So yes, you had an awesome job, dream job.
It was in my dream job, but I was really just bored. Like, not that I would really ever express that to anyone, but my daily experience was just kind of going through the motions and being kind of like, oh, bored. And then being like, oh, I hate myself because I've got my dream job, and I'm not grateful. And so for me at that time, working as a fashion journalist at this really kind of like high-level magazine, to be into astrology, remember this was 7 years ago, when it wasn't all over every meme on Instagram. There wasn't even Instagram.
Right? Oh my God.
To be into
astrology, Instagram. What was that?
Into astrology was so weird and so woo-woo. And so for me to trust that curiosity and be like, I'm going to learn about astrology. I'm going to find someone to teach me astrology so I can learn how to read people's birth charts, was like so weird and so like not the cool thing, whatever. But I just listened to it. I was like, I know it's something I could just always talk about, write about. I want to do it. And so, that thing that you feel curious about, if it comes in really quickly and you'll just dismiss it because you're like, oh, no, that's not it. That's not cool enough. That's not in alignment with how I see my life going. If that's not on my list of goals, don't ignore it. Like, whatever the thing is, follow it. Miriam fellow woo-woo.
She is so woo-woo.
Yes, Miriam.
Miriam is the woo-wooest
Bringing
of
the
them all.
woo out of the closet.
Oh, she is out of the closet, right? Love you, Miriam. Oh my gosh, yes.
So yeah, just don't judge your curiosity is what
Yeah.
I'm saying, because it might be like something that seems completely weird or uncool,
Yeah.
or like, why would you ever want to waste your time doing that? Because it's not, you know, what everyone else is talking
Yeah.
about or blogging about or what's trending right now or hashtagging
Yes.
about.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
like do it anyway. Just do it.
Yeah, I think that's really, really key, because the thing is that, like, same with me when I started Conscious Boss, like, conscious business wasn't really that big of a thing. Honestly, I didn't even know that's what I was doing when I first started and found the name. Now everything is about conscious and consciousness, and also it's like, you don't know, like when I started my event series, which I've now had like in 4 countries across the world and had thousands of people attend them, I didn't have, like, it literally started as a little event for like me and some of my friends in business to like connect and have like a bit of a tribe. It was never like, oh, this is going to be the thing that's going to grow my business and I'm going to create all of this because of this. But it was this curiosity and this excitement and this need that I was trying to fill, that just something inside of me always just said, yes, yes. It wasn't like a hell yes. It wasn't like a this is the absolute end goal, but it was like a, oh, okay, yeah, this. For some reason, I just always felt like saying yes to doing the next event and doing the next event, and then it just grew. And like, I think that's just such a big thing that anybody out there needs to just, like, it takes time, and it's, you know, and it ebbs and it flows. Hey, babe, my love. And where you start isn't going to be where you know, the end spot.
And it comes back to the thing about integrating the yin with the yang. Like, yang is masculine energy. It's the productive, the doing, which we were talking about at the beginning. That energy says, have a plan, know how you're going to get from A to B, and like go as fast as you can towards like the end goal. How. Yeah, and my husband, bless him, is always telling me that you need a plan. Why don't you have a business plan? You need to go be more logical.
I have never had a business plan.
How can you know you've reached your goals if you haven't like set your goals? I'm like, yeah, because I'm just living my life and like doing the things that light me up. Crazy.
Yeah. That is my business plan.
And
Follow curiosity.
So yeah, again, it comes back to that thing of like just allowing for yourself not to have a plan and just like trusting that if you keep saying yes to the thing that feels like oh yeah, that is going to take you on the right path for you.
Yeah.
It's totally counter to anything you're going to hear in any business school, anywhere.
Well, it's a business in a new way too, I think, and I think that's something that we're all really craving too, is to like feel less. And I'll speak for myself, like as a Capricorn, masculine-minded, type A, like action-orientated person. I know that like when I'm in that space, I just want to quickly give a shout out to another one of our soul sisters here, Satya. So I'm wearing a bunch of her jewelry that she gave me today, Satya jewelry, just putting that here, which means truth. And this is a very feminine built business. I just want to shout out to these beautiful bracelets. But, you know, I know that when I'm operating from that place of, and you guys watching, give us some love, give us some yes if this is resonating with you guys. Ask us any questions, please. This is a really awesome opportunity to get some inside knowledge from this divine soul. I know that when I'm in that place of just like, how is this going to happen? What's my plan? How many, you know, numbers, action, this is what I need to do, control, because I'm a control freak, recovering control freak. I know that like, and I, you know, Gabrielle Bunsen calls it like white knuckling, you know, like white knuckling our way through being sober or like getting to a goal or creating a business or whatever it is. Like, I know that I get really anxious, I get burnt out, I get overwhelmed, I get frustrated, I get really fearful because it's like really just operating solely from that yang and not having that space of trust, of faith, of intuition, of surrender. And I think it's such like when I really let that into my business life and my life, like it changed everything because it's like I didn't have to just be the one that had to make everything happen. Yeah, it was like, oh, there's something else here that is supporting me in this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, do you want to speak to that at all?
You were co-creating it.
Yeah,
and I think even like thinking about what are your goals, like it's very easy to get caught on and stuck in the numbers game, particularly in this world that we live in, this social media universe where there are literal numbers on everything.
Validation
It used
everywhere.
to just be that the numbers were about how much money you wanted to make, right? Now it's about how many followers have you got, how many likes are your post getting, like how many newsletter subscribers have you got. Like these numbers are just everywhere, and so again, it just boxes us into these ideas about like what actually means success.
Yes.
Like, is success numbers, or is success a feeling that everything's in flow? Like, to me, I would much rather live a life where I feel in flow and I feel in my body and I feel happy and inspired every day than be earning multiple six figures. And I'm just going to say that, and it's not to say that the two can't coexist, but I will also just add there are multiple studies out there that show over like $75,000 a year, happiness doesn't actually increase at all. Like, once your kind of basic needs are met, like, your happiness levels don't actually rise. Yeah. And that's just to put it out there. Because again, I don't know how I feel about that one. I feel like I need to apologize, right? Because we're so programmed to be like, you can have, and that might be great for some people to want to have a big business where you can employ tons of people and be bringing in millions of dollars. Amazing. But that goal is not going to be relevant, or is not going to satisfy everyone. Like, we're all so different, and we all have such different needs, you know? Yeah. So just to put that in, that's kind of like where I come from. Like, the times I get the most stressed are when I find myself doing things mainly for money. Yeah. Or mainly for numbers. Yes. And if I can, which is not to say I don't want to charge and get paid well for my work. Of course. But the more I start getting into the thinking of like
half an hour in, I'm like, would you like more of this cushion?
the more I get, the more like stuck I get on like, I'm not getting paid enough, or I should be earning X, or why aren't I bringing in this number of dollars every month? Again, it gets me really, really quickly stuck back into that. I actually I came up with a mantra last month that I've been using a lot, and it is doing more of what I love. When I radically make it. So the mantra is, I radically trust that doing more of what I love, abundance flows my way.
Ooh.
Yes.
You get to write that one down. What did I say it again?
I radically trust that doing more of what I love, abundance flows my way.
I radically trust that doing more of what I love, abundance flows my way.
Yes.
Write that one down. So I agree. And I think it's also like, there's my friends Kristen and Alexi have a workshop, and one of the things that they share about is like, at what cost as well, right? Like, you can have a multi-million-dollar business or a multiple six-figure business or whatever it looks like for you, and have a certain lifestyle, work at the dream job, like, at what cost, at what cost of your peace of mind, at what cost of like, not having a relationship with your family or your friends or like your health. And I think
to being creative with your day to day. You're a creative person. You spend all your time like chasing numbers and like working out spreadsheets.
Right? and I think it's also about like appreciating the small things too. Like, every day that I sometimes have these moments, a lot of times I have these moments where I'm like, oh, it's a Tuesday, and what does it say? Monday. It's Monday. Like, whatever. It's a Monday, and it's 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, and I'm going to see my friends. I'm in New York, and like, that's pretty cool. Like, that's my life, Like, and having those little moments and those little appreciations, I think, is really important too for anyone in life. But also if you're trying to start a business or do anything, and really tuning into like, ultimately that's usually what we're doing it for freedom, for expression, for just like being able to live our life. But we have to also appreciate those moments, because if the goal is six figures or multiple six figures, seven figures, multiple seven figures, $1 billion, whatever it is, the feeling is the actual thing you're trying to get, right? Like, that's what's underneath all of those goals. Yes. And that's why I think what you're doing is really powerful, because if we can't, and I'll speak from my own experience as someone who, does want to build a big business and does want to do all of that stuff, but I'm, the more that I build my business and the more success that I have, the more I realize ultimately everything's going to be coming back here. Like, everything I'm building is, I have to be the space to experience it and receive it and be able to enjoy it, as opposed to just seeking these big, next thing. Exactly. Yeah. And I think having a holistic way of really tuning into that and having an experience of tapping into something greater, even if it's just a greater relationship with yourself, I think is so powerful and also necessary for us all in the next evolution of all of us. Like, the world that we're in now, I feel like we all need to step into that more. Exactly. Yeah. Well, we all need to step into feeling more. Like, ultimately, I struggle with that. In a world that needs us to, although in a world where it would be nice if we all had a bit more time for each other, whatever that might mean.
we can only really desire a connection or desire to help others when we can feel like, when we can actually feel what it might be like for them to be a human at the moment. You know? We can only want to reach out and help someone if we can have some kind of empathy for what they might be going through. And so, I think a more feeling society that's less, and I mean, if you think about in terms of like productivity, a lot of business traditionally being focused around productivity. Rampant productivity has got us to a state where the earth is so overtaxed. Like, can you imagine how much we'd be able to like slow down climate change and like all of the distraction of the natural world if we all worked 1 day a week less? In fact, I remember there's I read recently about some experiment with a company in New Zealand actually, where they were experimenting with a 4-day week. And actually productivity went up. Because people were so much more relaxed, they were so much more inspired, they felt so much more seen and understood, and they were just, I mean, I think it's the future.
I think as well, this is a really relevant point. We're going to wrap up shortly, guys, so if you guys have anything else you want to share with us or comment on, please do. But that is a really big point, I think, as well, for any entrepreneur, anybody who's running your own business or doing your own thing. Stepping into that yourself, like actually giving yourself boundaries and parameters around when you work, because like if that happens in the workplace, that also happens in your own life. Like I know, and I learned so much more about myself and my own productivity and how I run my business better the more that I'm in it. But I know, like, I used to just be like, oh, there's all this work to do. It's just got to get done. But the thing is, there's always going to be so much work to do that has to get done. And I know, like,
the bigger you grow, that'll just be more.
Exactly. And so it's like giving yourself the space, the time to rest. And this is all it comes down to, like, your intuition, to tuning into your body, to really tapping into, like, what you're feeling, to having, like, functional ways of switching off. So you actually go, okay, you know what? It's Friday, and I'm going to take my whole week. And you do say, so Rubes deletes Instagram off her phone every single Friday. Just deletes the whole app off. So tell us why you do that then.
Well, it was an experiment. Well, it kind of, I did it. It happened accidentally when I went away at Christmas last year. I booked a house in Joshua Tree.
That's right.
That had no Wi-Fi. This is an accident. Obviously, it's as an entrepreneur, as someone who runs an online platform. The thought of being offline, like I'm never really offline, and I really got very close to burnout last year when I got to my book came out, like running all the different projects I had, and I have that kind of brain that's like, ooh, all these things to do. Ooh, well, I've got a whole weekend, I can actually work on that stuff. Ooh, I've got a whole Sunday with nothing else planned. I can just work.
So exciting, I know.
Ooh, I can just get all those extra things done. Like workaholism, a real thing, and this era as well.
Live 2.0.
So anyway, we booked this house in Joshua Tree, and I got there. We got there quite late night, and I'm looking for the Wi-Fi code, and there wasn't one. And I called the woman, and she's like, "Oh, there is no Wi-Fi."
Oh my gosh!
And we were right on the edge
"You're
of
in the desert,
And like, there was no Wi-Fi and barely any just regular cell phone connection. And honestly, in like 3 days, I felt my body just relax more. I feel it. It's like every cell in my being was just kind of unclenching. It was the most amazing, magical feeling.
Oh my gosh.
I slept so well, and I was just like, wow, this is big. And it wasn't the fact that there wasn't necessarily Wi-Fi, although there is research about the actual impact of living in this Wi-Fi world. It was the fact that I didn't, because I knew I couldn't get an email or a text or look at Instagram. I just didn't. I just forgot about it. It was proper detox. And so on coming back to New York, I decided that the time had come to create office hours for myself. Love that. Which means I actually take Instagram off my phone around 8 p.m. I put it back on at about 11 a.m. During the week. Every day.
Go girl.
And then Friday evening, it goes off until Monday morning.
I
am
love that.
so much happier. I feel like just asleep better. My following is going. There has been no slowdown whatsoever in terms of my following. Like if we're brought into that thing of like I have to be constantly like feeding it, feeding the feed, like literally feeding them. For them to like want me,
stay around.
For them to want to stay around. Absolutely not true. People are so bombarded with information. So now what I do is focus on literally quality over quantity. Rather than feeling like I constantly have to be posting stuff, I actually made a commitment to only about a month ago. I'm only going to post if I have something I really want to share.
I love that.
Something that feels really valuable.
Yeah.
And yeah, those posts do so much better and get shared so much more.
Yeah.
And I'm not burning myself out, just like feeding this kind of like rat race mentality.
Yeah.
So that's been a real game changer for me. And I think as an entrepreneur, creating your own sense of office hours, and really not feeling, for a long time I used to feel so guilty about taking any time off. And I know that's something that resonates, like people often reflect back to me that they feel the same, just guilt of like, well, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done, and this is my responsibility, and like managing that has been really tricky. But it's all a process, and really kind of like, again, questioning, like this curiosity, the sober curiosity kind of extends to any sort of like addictive thinking, because I was addicted to work as well. I was addicted to social media as well. So applying that same curiosity, why do I feel like if I don't post 5 times this week on my blog,
something bad's going to happen?
People are going to forget about me. What does that say about my self-worth? What does that actually say about what I feel like I need to prove in order to have a voice in the world? Like those deeper questions are always there under the surface, waiting to be answered when you begin questioning any kind of like addictive or burnout. I think.
No, I love that. And the thing is, especially with business, it is such a, and not just business, but like life. It's like, you know, it's at one hand, it's short and we have to enjoy it as much as we can. At the same time, it's long enough that we really need to master ourselves and master our practices and really figure out how to tune in to ourselves in a deeper way, connect to ourselves in a deeper way. And something that I, learned when I was at Tony Robbins it was about 10 years ago now, but was like, essentially the main reason we do anything in life is like the undercurrent of that is for love and connection. And I think that that's such a powerful thing for us all to realize, because it's like, okay, the business, the money, the mission, the whatever it is that we want, the undercurrent of all of that is that we just want to be loved and accepted and connect to people. So it's like, if we know that that's the result, what actions do we need to take in order to really live into that, like every day, you know, like having a deep relationship with your partner because you're not on Instagram all weekend. Like that's the main reason that we're doing these things. It's, oh my gosh, so juicy. Now I want to wrap this up because I know this is getting quite long, but anything else? Oh, hey Kayla, we've got some interesting stuff happening over on our Instagram, but thank you for everyone that was on here joining us in this, wherever you were in the world. It was morning time over in Australia, New Zealand, where I'm heading on Wednesday back into the cold for the first time in a long time. I will not be glossy on my next set of lives, and I'll be missing this 35-degree heat. But for anybody that is looking to find more out about what your moon is doing, what the astrology is doing, what's happening with Mercury retrograde, all of the things that comes down to astrology and mystical realities and sober curiosity and all things just magic and stardust and gloriousness, make sure you head over and follow Ruby. The Numinous.com is your website.
The-Numinous.com.
The-Numinous. Okay,
leave a comment.
Amazing. And also actually quickly, because I saw this on your Instagram the other day and I'm interested about it. Your website, you're redoing your website, right?
It's just revamped.
It's really interesting.
I just relaunched it.
And did you take it down for a while?
I did.
Can you want to speak to that for a little bit? Because I think that's actually quite interesting.
So I just did a whole
honoring it.
I just did a whole rebrand on the Numinous.
It
launched like 6 years ago, 7 years ago that I had an idea for it. And I just hadn't given it any kind of like, not that I hadn't given it love, but I hadn't like given it any sort of like new look or anything. Like just suddenly realized, I need to do that. It's about time. It's largely because I had changed so much. Like I said, the book really tells the story of my transformation, but I really felt like what I was putting out in the world in terms of how it looked and operated wasn't really a reflection of how much I had grown and developed. And so I knew I needed to kind of up level it. And one of the reasons I knew this also was that the site just kept crashing. Every time I sent my newsletter out, it would just crash, and I was getting so frustrated. I had like 2 developers go deep into the back end, the hosting company as well. No one could find out what the problem was, and I was just like, this is a cry for help. And it was getting worse and worse. But in the meantime, I was working on this redesign, and I got to a point where I was about a month out from knowing I'd be able to get the new site up. And I was so sick of calling my server, like the hosting company, twice a week to get them to reboot my server. Going through just the anxiety of knowing that I had like a 504 error message when it just like, So I just decided to take it down and just have a holding thing up and go, I'm going to be back in a month.
I love that though.
And it felt so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And actually it created a sort of like, ooh,
Yeah.
something new is coming.
Mm.
Like, and again, it got me out. It helped. It was a big thing that helped me get out of the mentality of like, I have to have this constant presence for people or people are going to forget about me. Like, I have to prove myself constantly. It was a real lesson in like, no, I can disappear for a month.
Yes.
And everyone's still there when I get back. And in fact, I come back reinvigorated, fresher, ready to serve better, and actually great. People still are excited and still there. I was so scared to take it down, and in fact, my assistant editor had a massive freak out. She was like, "What if people are searching things? What if they think we're never coming back?" And I'm like, chill. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be fine.
I think that's just a really big lesson that I want us to end on, because I know I experienced the same thing when I went to Peru, and I was going to Peru for like 6 days.
About that.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Because I know. I saw you. Absolutely. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like going offline, fully, like literally in the jungle for like 7 days, no phone, no Wi-Fi, no TVs, nothing, and feeling like, oh my gosh, like there's so much going on. What's going to happen? What about my clients? What about my business? What about my launch? What about all of these things, you know? And then coming back and like getting on my computer and actually being like, it took me like an hour, maybe an hour and a half to like get back on top of everything, and everything was fine, and nothing, you know, like people,
amazing,
and it's so much better for you. And I think that's just a really big thing for everyone to land in, because that again is that masculine white knuckling. I need to create all the time. I need to prove all the time. I need to be there all the time. And it's like actually so much more powerful, potent, and delicious when we honor ourselves and give us that time and that rest and that break. I think that's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah,
I'm so happy you had that experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to actually live it.
You do.
To
most of the time.
believe it.
Yeah.
You know?
People can tell you all day long, but until you actually have the experience, you're
Exactly.
like, oh, there, landed. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for jumping on with us. And like I said, make sure you head over and follow the beautiful Rubes here. She's tagged here, so you can jump on there. I'll make sure she's tagged over here on Instagram. Huge love. Thank you so much for jumping on and being here with the tribe. I'm excited for us to go and actually catch up. Yeah. Bye, loves. And feel free to share this out or comment below. We can check back in with any of the questions. Bye, guys.